Hi, everybody. It is the second session of our Mindful Mondays, May 11th. And I just wanted to first start off, though, by saying how very grateful I am to all of you. When I read your comments, both the public ones and the private ones that people are sending, I'm just there's just so much wisdom, and there's so much I appreciate people sharing so openly. um, it there are days that's the best part of my day, at least work wise, is reading that, so I really appreciate it. There's a lot of the, there's a lot of collective wisdom in our group, and I really encourage you guys to read other people's comments because there's so much we can learn from each other. So I again, I just wanted to share my appreciation for you and everybody doing that. Um, so that being said, today I was thinking we could talk about thoughts, because they're gonna keep coming up all the time while we're practicing. So when we've practiced focusing on an anchor, and I'm sure that you've noticed when you try to do that, thoughts come into our heads. Our mind just is built for thinking, and there are some days when lots of thoughts come into my mind when I'm practicing, and other days where there's not as many. I'm more easily able to just kind of return to my breath and notice myself. So far we've really been thinking about thoughts as something that happens and that we can notice it and then return to our anchor. So we've been practicing that idea of being mindful of our thoughts and that ability to shift, notice, and come back to our breath. And today we're going to kind of take it in another step, that we're going to actually think about. We're going to bring awareness to our thinking, so we don't have to get caught up in the thoughts. So one way is to notice the thought and come back to like your anchor. Another is to the method we're going to kind of think about today is noticing the thought and letting it be there, like being with the thought instead of our thoughts. Sometimes we have a desire to push our thoughts away or resist them or say, oh, I keep thinking, why do I keep thinking about this, like judging our thoughts. Or we can like get caught up and like end up like down, 5 minutes later, if you're just sitting, if you don't have someone bringing you back with their voice, you're off on some fantasy, you're thinking about, you're daydreaming, or you've been caught up in a big worry. So we're kind of trying to find the ability to unhook from the thought, to be an observer of our thoughts. And there's different metaphors that can help us do that, but you can think about thoughts as they're there, and then they can eventually float off like a cloud, or like you're standing on the banks of a river and the thoughts are like things floating, like sticks floating down the river, and they're there, and then you notice it and they keep floating away. And the difference between doing that and returning to your anchor is that the anchor is what we're paying attention to, and with the metaphors of like the clouds or the river, is that you're observing them. That's where your attention is on, but it's not caught up in it. You're just observing it. You're not a part of it. And that can be helpful because you can then think about, it's again practicing the ability to have the control over what you put your attention on. And it also kind of can give you an idea of what kind of thoughts you tend to have a lot of, and then you can maybe respond to that. So that was a lot of talking. So let's get started. First, we're going to just do a little bit of some mindful moving again. I really enjoyed doing that last time, and I've just been stiff a lot from all the sitting that I've been doing. So You can sit up on like a pillow or on a chair or on some blankets, and just so that your hips are up, or if you're in a chair, that your feet are flat on the floor. And we're going to start by first just moving our shoulders. And I want you to try to just lift your shoulders up and back. So just even like the shoulder blades, if you can like feel the shoulder blades moving on your back. So I'm trying to keep my elbows and my hands still and just moving my shoulders. Don't forget to breathe. Don't over effort. Just nice and relaxed, moving the shoulders and the shoulder blades on your back, up and down. Just noticing what's going on there. And then reverse direction. And then lift up your shoulders and just let them relax. And then we're going to do a side bend. You're going to kind of pretend like there's a big beach ball on the side of you, and you're like leaning over it. So I'm going to sit up a little bit taller so you can see this a little bit better. So you can put your hand on your hip, or if you're sitting on the ground, your hand can go down on the ground, and you're going to breathe in with so let's say everybody puts their hand on their left hip and their right hand on their right shoulder, and you're just going to bend like you're folding over that beach ball, so you're stretching right in here. You can lift your arm up if you want, and the stretch is really in these muscles. Seeing you like stretching, breathing into the muscles in between your back ribs and your side ribs, the side of the ribs. And breathe in, come back up, and we'll do the other side. So you have to put your hand on your right hip and your left hand on your left shoulder, and breathe in. So you're kind of coming up and then folding over this beach ball over here. And we're really lengthening the muscles on the left side of your torso, relaxing the jaw, just breathing into your muscles, breathing into the side of your body. And then you can let that go and relax. Okay. And then coming back to your seated posture. We're just going to settle. Taking a few breaths in and out. Gently closing the eyes or dropping your gaze. And just notice the energy in the mind and in the body. As we settle and sit into our practice, you might notice the energy of your day is resting in your mind and in your body. The mind might be active. The body might feel worked up. Or you might notice a bit of lingering anxieties or frustrations. And think of a shaken snow globe and all that energy swirling around. And as we rest, the little snowflakes fall gently to the ground. Think of yourself as a snow globe, and every snowflake as a thought. And in this way, watch as each and every snowflake falls to the ground. Don't force yourself to calm down. Just let it happen slowly happen organically. Might notice your body feeling heavier, settling more into the ground or the chair. Just notice the weight of your body as those snowflakes settle. And after a moment, we'll bring our attention to the breath in the body. And choose the spot where you feel your breath the most easily. Your belly, center of your chest, the shoulders or the nostrils. And observe the physical sensation of breathing. And as you focus on the breath, bring your mind back when it wanders, back to your anchor. You could use that snow globe visualization as a thought stirs up, as it gets swirled around in your mind. Observe as the thoughts gently settle back down. So we're focusing on our breath. Now we're going to open our awareness to include your thoughts in your gentle mental state, whatever is going on in your mind. And instead of returning to the breath when the mind wanders, just notice what the mind is doing. It's also okay if you don't notice the mind doing anything. But you might notice yourself planning, daydreaming, figuring things out, or replaying past experiences. Whatever you observe the mind doing, let it be. When you recognize a thought, try not to encourage it, but don't push it away either. Allow it to be and allow it to go on its own. See if you can just watch the passing of your thoughts. Return to the breath and patiently wait until another thought arises. Notice it, watch it, and then come back to the breath. when you're lost in thought. If self-judgment arises, notice that, just as you would any other thought. And just let it be. Let's just take another moment. We're going to return to our anchor. Return to your breath, to that spot. And take a deep breath in. And let it out. When you're ready, you can gently open your eyes or lift your gaze. I'll encourage you to try to practice returning to your breath and then to letting your thoughts. See if you can maybe set aside a couple minutes during the week to try that, to start with your anchor and then being with your thoughts, noticing your thoughts. And then coming back to your anchor, you can set a little timer for a minute or two and just see what happens. Okay. Take care, everybody. See you next week.